वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह. This is a Sikh way of greeting. It has got twofold affirmation. First is expression of special relationship between God and those who dedicate their entire life to good deeds and truthfulness, that is God's service. Second is the expression of that faith in the ultimate triumph and victory of the forces of goodness, which despite all apparent setbacks, trials and travail, is a just and essential end of the fight between good and evil in the world. About me, my name is Dr. Kala Singh. I'm a medical graduate from Maulana Azad Medical College, Delhi University, India. My passion is spirituality and mental health. I have appeared in live radio and TV talk shows, and I got many YouTubes, both in English and Punjabi. I incorporate Sikh spirituality in Western model of counseling and published a paper, The Sikh Spiritual Model of Counseling, in medical journal Spirituality and Health International. My papers have been published in various Sikh magazines. I published a book, Gurmukhi Doctrines Part 1, available on Amazon.com. I have got chapters in many books. I've been awarded by different organizations, including Parvasi Ratan at Global Convention of NRIs in British Parliament. I'm an executive member of Multi-Faith Summit Council of BC. I'm a physician, author, community activist, Sikh scholar, television personality, and a motivational speaker. Today, the topic of discussion at the Parliament of World Religions is world peace through compassion and interfaith understanding, a Sikh perspective. From time immemorial, there have been many religions in the world. Every religion claims to have a better God, causing conflicts with followers of other religions. There are conflicts even between followers of the same religion regarding interpretation of the Holy Scripture. Where religion was supposed to unite people, many have been killed and maimed on the name of God. Humanity has been suffering because of discrimination based on caste, race, color, religion, and gender. One human has been looked upon by another as inferior. Stronger has always been terrorizing weaker and abusing a slave. Terrorist activities are taking place around the world because of various conflicts. If the human race is not divided on the basis of caste, creed, color, religion, and gender, and there is equality of all human beings, if we can give up ego or pride and be humble, as taught by Guru Nanak, the founder of Sikhism, there could be world peace, and many mental health problems associated with it can be prevented. We should respect other cultures and deliver services in compassionate and culturally sensitive way as prescribed by Guru Nanak. If everyone practices this philosophy, wars, terrorist attacks and conflicts we are witnessing with the mental health problems could be prevented. Through globalization, the world has become a global village with many different religions, religious practices and gods. The coronavirus pandemic has proved that we need global cooperation, compassion and understanding to control the virus. In the same way, the only way to bring world peace is through interfaith understanding and compassion globally. Though almost all religions preach love, selfless service, sympathy, and compassion for each other, still there is a religious hatred and enmity. There is a need to focus on these ideals rather than on the differences. Sikhism is based on the principle of mutual cooperation and harmony, irrespective of faith one belongs to. Sikh means a student, a seeker, and Guru, a teacher. So Sikhism is a journey of lifetime studentship, seekership for the entire humanity to live a life of truthfulness. The fundamental message of Guru Nanak is oneness of the entire humanity. He spoke against inequality amongst different sections of the society and resulting mistreatment. Langar, that is free community kitchen in Gurdwaras, is an example of equality, where everyone sits together to eat food. Different religions have their holy books for their followers. A holy book is said to be universal if its message is for the entire humanity and not only for its followers. A universal holy book unites all of humanity and does not divide it. The Sikh holy book, Guru Granth Sahib, is the only holy book available to the mankind, which came to its followers directly from the writer, that is the Gurus. It is a universal holy book because it does not talk of rituals to please God. It talks of controlling mind, which is present in all human beings, and how to live a truthful spiritual life. On page 379, Guru says, through spiritual knowledge and wisdom from the Guru, we need to get rid of ardent sexual desires, anger, intoxication, and worldly passions, ego, jealousy as a stake in the game of chance, and usher in the mind voluntary service called seva, contentment, compassion, righteousness, that is dharma, and truthfulness. These values are for everyone, not only for the Sikhs. Guru Granth Sahib teaches us of only one God who is the creator of this universe. Guru Granth Sahib starts with the word one, Ekamkar, meaning there is one universal energy, the creator God, which permeates in each and every molecule of the cosmos. When we believe in this philosophy and see light of one God in all of us, we will not hate anyone on the basis of their faith, religion, caste, color, and gender. There will naturally be world peace. Different religions have given different names of the gods, and almost all of those names are mentioned in Guru Granth Sahib. For example, the Hindu names Hari, Ram, Prabhu, Gopal, Gobind, Narayan, Antarjami, Jagdish, Mohan, Krishna, Murari, Bhagwan, and Muslim name Allah, Vaheguru, Vaheguru. Now, one creator God can be different names by different religions, but creator is still one. As for example, my name is Kala Singh, and this is the name in my passport, in my certificates given by my parents. But out of love, my mother calls me by a different name. My brothers and sisters called me by a different name. In the school, my friends called me by a different name. I got married, and my wife started calling me by a different name, and my children call me by a different name. That does not mean there are so many Kala Singhs. Kala Singh is still one, but have different names. In the same way, Creator God is still one, but have different names. This is the interfaith harmony in Guru Granth Sahib. Guru says on page 358, your names are so many and your forms are endless. No one can tell how many glorious virtues you have. The message of Guru Granth Sahib is that it is not the name of the God which is important, but its values, which all of us should imbibe and use in everyday life. That's how we all can come together to alleviate the sufferings of all by using different names of the God. We should not create conflict, but come together through virtues of the God. Guru Granth Sahib teaches mutual coexistence and cooperation because of the universal fatherhood of God and brotherhood of mankind. Fifth Guru Arjan on page 611 says, the one God is our Father. We are children of the one God. So we are all brothers and kinsmen. On page 1349, Bhagat Kabir, a Hindu saint, says in Guru Granth Sahib, the entire universe has originated from one Noor, that is one universal energy, the light. So no one is good and no one is bad. All are equal. Guru Granth Sahib is the only holy book which contains the teachings of the Sikh Gurus as well as the teachings of 30 Hindu and Muslim saints, an example of interfaith relations and respect. Guru Nanak's philosophy encourages understanding and sharing of the philosophy of other faiths and religions, as is indicated in the following verse of Guru Nanak on page 765. If you have a box full of virtues, operate it so that everybody can share them. Similarly, if your friends have virtues, share them as well. Share only the virtues and abandon the vices. Guru Nanak's first sermon delivered in 1499 AD was, no one is Hindu or Muslim. These are two big religions at that time in India. All are children of God, so they are equal. Thus, Guru Nanak laid the foundation of human rights for all at that time. Guru Nanak was asked in Mecca by Qazi, that the Muslim priest, whether Hinduism or Islam is a greater religion. The Guru replied that neither one is greater, because it's your deeds which make you great. It was for the first time when someone talked of interfaith relations and stood above religious practices for unity and peace in the world. During his 4 travels, Guru Nanak traveled for 24 years of his life, a distance of 39,000 kilometers by foot, that is about 552 years ago, preaching the word of God to all mankind and have interfaith dialogue, not only in Punjab, but as far as Pakistan, which was part of India at that time, Afghanistan, Iran. In Iraq, he had discussions with Islamic scholars. Saudi Arabia, we had a discussion with the Qazi of Mecca. He went to Russia. In China, he had discussions with the Lamas, Nepal, Sikkim, Bhutan, Burma, and Sri Lanka, which was called Simaldeep at that time, and a discussion with Raja Shivna. There is a mention that he even went to Vatican in Rome and had discussions with the Pope, but it could not be verified from Vatican archives. His fundamental message is the oneness of entire humanity and compassion for each other as part of interfaith understanding. During his travels, he also collected writings of 30 Hindu and Muslim saints, which are included in the Guru Granth Sahib, making it a holy book of all faiths. As part of interfaith understanding, during his travels, Guru Nanak dressed according to the people he was to have discussions with. During travels, he was putting on attire of a recluse. He donned attire like a Muslim when he went to Mecca to hold discussions with Qazi. When he went to discuss with yogis, he attired himself with yogic garb. When Guru Nanak returned to Kartarpur, where he settled after his travels and worked as a peasant farmer, he set aside his attire of a recluse and put on a householder's dress. The foundation stone of Darbar Sahib, Amritsar, popularly known as Golden Temple, was laid by Mian Mir, a Muslim saint, an example of interfaith respect. It has 4 doors to show that anybody can come from all 4 directions, irrespective of caste, color, creed, or gender. It is a place where first installation of Guru Granth Sahib was done by 5th Guru, Guru Arjan. As part of human equality, the daily ardas, the prayer of the Sikhs, conclude with a couplet, Nanak, implore for love of God, who provides well-being and bliss. God, with your mercy, let everyone prosper. Guru Nanak also gave equality to women when he said, we make friends with women and marry them. our generations grow because of them. When wife dies, we marry another woman. Why call woman low who gives birth to kings, saints, and all of us? Man has looked upon woman as an inferior being. A majority of world religions have placed woman in a secondary position to men. As an integral part of religio-cultural heritage of many nations, this organization of sex roles has been a major cause of conflict, frustration, stress, and mental disorder among women. Guru Nanak conferred dignity to women and raised their status in the society in around 1500 AD. Women's rights movements in the USA started in Colorado, which is the first state to adopt an amendment granting women the right to vote. That was in 1893 AD. Michigan, South Dakota, Oklahoma were the last 1918 AD, when Guru Nanak raised his status in the society in 1500 AD. The creation of the universe. Guru Nanak gave the Big Bang theory. Different religions have different theories regarding creation of the universe. Guru Nanak said in page 1035, from utter darkness and void, where God was in primal trance, created a sound. The universe exploded from that one source of energy with a bang and started to expand. Thereafter, many things appeared. On page 19, Guru Nanak says, from the God came the air, from the air came water, from water God created the entire cosmos and abide in each and every molecule of the cosmos. On page 1360, Guru says, even if the mortal could reduce himself to the size of an atom and shoot through the aether's world and realms in the blink of an eye, O Nanak, without the spiritual knowledge and wisdom of the Guru, he shall not be saved spirituality. Now, from this verse, it clearly shows that Guru Nanak at that time had the knowledge of atom and speed of light. As an example of interfaith, Guru Granth Sahib defines different religions. On page 274, Guru says, the true Vaishnava, the devotee of Vishnu, is the one who lives life apart from worldly temptations. This is the pure dharma of a Vaishnava. Performing good deeds, he does not seek rewards. He is absorbed in developed devotional worship of the God. He always remembers God in his mind and lives life according to the virtues of the God and inspires others. Nanak says, such a Vaishnava obtains the supreme status. The true Bhagavati, the devotee of Adi Shakti, loves the devotional worship of the God. He does not have duality in his mind and keeps away from people attached to worldly temptations. He keeps company of spiritual teachings of the Guru. The wisdom of such a Bhagavati becomes supreme. He constantly performs the service of Supreme God by living life according to that spiritual wisdom. Nanak says, such a Bhagavati attains the God. He is a true Pandit who instructs first his own mind. He searches for the God within his own soul and lives life according to the virtues of the God. He implants the spiritual knowledge and wisdom of the God in his mind first and preaches same to the people of all castes and social classes. Such a Pandit does not get into cycle of spiritual death and birth. He understands that the fundamental essence of the Vedas, the Puranas, and the Smritis is the God. In the unmanifest, he sees the manifest word to exist. Nanak says, to such a Pandit I bow in salutation forever. page 1084, Guru says, to be a true Muslim is to be kind-hearted. He keeps away from worldly temptations and is pure like flower, silk, ghee, and the deer skin. One who is blessed with the mercy and compassion of the merciful God, he alone is a brave warrior, the sheikh, a preacher, a haji, and he alone is God's slave. Nanak says such a person realizes the true command of the God and lives life accordingly, shall be released from the bondage of worldly temptations. On page 305, Guru gives definition of a Sikh. A Sikh of Guru shall remember teachings of the Guru upon rising from sleep. That could be any time. Those who work at night shift sleep during the day and get up in the afternoon. Those who work day shifts sleep at night and get up in the morning. Upon arising, one is to bathe to clean the body and then cleanse the mind in the pool of nectar of Guru's teachings. That is, read them, listen them and understand them. Following the instructions of the Guru and living life accordingly, all evils, negativity go away. All the day, one is to remember instructions of the Guru. Blessed are those who remember God and instructions of the Guru with every breath and every morsel of food. To get the instructions, we have to prepare ourselves by controlling our ego. Nanak begs for the company of such a Sikh who remembers God and inspires others. On page 266, Guru says, of all religions, the best religion is to maintain pure conduct according to the virtues of the God. Because there are different religions, so Guru is giving definition in all religions, including as Sikhs. But the best religion is a religion of pure conduct, good human values. On page 62, Guru says, truth is higher than everything, but higher still is truthful living. Now that message and all above messages are for the entire humanity. The following are remarks made by distinguished personalities about Guru Granth Sahib and its interfaith message. Arnold Toynbee, an English historian, a philosopher of history, and author of numerous books, said, the Adi Granth is remarkable for several reasons. Of all known religious scriptures, this book is the most highly venerated. Paul S. Buck, also known by her Chinese name, Sai Zhenzhou, was an American writer, novelist, and missionary. She says the sixth scripture speaks to a person of any religion or of none. They speak for human heart and the searching mind. Dr. S. Radhakrishnan, an Indian philosopher and statesman who served as the second president of India, says, the barriers of seas and mountains will give way before the call of eternal truth, which is set forth with freshness of feelings and fervor of devotion in the Adi Granth. J.C. Archer, the religion of Guru Granth Sahib is a universal and practical religion. The world needs today its message of peace and love. Dorothy Field, the main doctrines of Sikhs is contained in Guru Granth Sahib, and these concern God, His nature and attributes, and the means by which salvation may be attained. Bertrand Russell, in 1950, Russell was awarded the Nobel Prize in Literature. He said, if some lucky men survive the onslaught of Third World War of atomic and hydrogen bombs, the Sikh religion will be the only means of guiding them. It has a capability, but Sikhs have not brought out in broad daylight the splendid doctrines of the religion, which has come into existence for the benefit of entire mankind. Now coming to compassion. Compassion is one of the 5 virtues in Sikhism. It is the ability to see the sufferings of others and take action to help alleviate those sufferings in the form of sharing, readiness to give comfort and sympathy. On page 3, Guru says, Dharma is the son of compassion. The sanctity of this word is held in place by Dharma, that is path of righteousness, which in turn is a product of compassion. Compassion is so important. Martyrdom of 9th Guru of Sikhs, Guru Tegh Bahadur, is a practical example of compassion and interfaith harmony. Aurangzeb, the then Muslim Emperor of India, had started a campaign of forcibly converting Hindus to Islam and demolishing Hindu temples. Those who refused were killed. Threatened with conversion or death, the Pandits of Kashmir came in a delegation to Guru Tegh Bahadur for help and intercession. At the behest of his 9-year-old son, who later became 10th and the last living Guru of Sikhs, Guru Gobind Singh, Guru Tegh Bahadur told the delegation of Pandits to tell Aurangzeb that if he could convert Guru Tegh Bahadur to Islam, they would gladly convert. Guru Tegh Bahadur then left for Delhi to defend the Hindus before Aurangzeb and was arrested at the orders of Aurangzeb on the way. He was joined by hundreds of Sikhs on the way to Delhi. While in prison, Guru was given the opportunity to accept Islam, perform a miracle, or be tortured to death. The emperor even promised great rewards to the Guru if he converted to Islam. Guru Tegh Bahadur refused all options given to him. Along with him were arrested Bhai Dayal Das and 2 brothers, Bhai Mati and Bhai Sati Das. Guru was put in chains in a cage and ordered to be tortured until he would accept Islam. To frighten and persuade Guru, Bhai Dayal Das was martyred by boiling alive in a pot of boiling water. Bhai Mati Das, while standing erect, was tied between 2 posts. 2 executioners placed a double-handed saw on his head. He was then sawn across from head to loins and martyred by cutting in 2. Bhai Sati Das was martyred by wrapping him in cotton, pouring oil over him and burning alive, where Guru Tegh Bahadur was held inside a cage to watch. Guru Tegh Bahadur was ultimately beheaded in public at Chandni Chowk in Delhi on 24th of November 1675. Guru Tegh Bahadur decided to stand up for the right of freedom of worship for Hindus, though he was not a Hindu and did not believe in Hindu philosophy. Guru not only showed sympathy for them but empathy and compassion as well. He believed in one God present in all human beings and creatures of the God. And he believed that all human beings have the right of freedom of worship. Such a type of sacrifice is unique in the history of mankind. Guru Tegh Bahadur thus sowed practically the seeds of human rights at that time. Guru symbolizes the triumph of good over evil. Another example, during one of the wars between 10th Guru Gobind Singh and Muslim Emperor Aurangzeb of India, Sikh warriors complained to Guru Gobind Singh that a Sikh by the name of Bhai Kanhaiya has been resuscitating the fallen enemy soldiers by feeding them with water. Guru Gobind Singh summoned him that he has received a complaint that you are feeding water to the enemy soldiers. Is it true? Bhai Kanhaiya replied, yes, my Guru. What they say is true. Because I see no Mughal or Sikh in the battlefield, I only see human beings and they all have the same God's light. Guruji, haven't you taught us this thing? The Guru was very pleased with the reply. He blessed him and told the Sikhs that Bhai Kanhaiya has understood his teachings correctly. Now Guru gave him medical balm also and said from now on, while giving water to the soldiers, put the balm also on their wounds. That started practically the concept of modern day Red Cross. Fifth Guru Arjan says on page 1299, none is my enemy, no one is stranger to me, I get along with everyone. Will it not bring world peace if implemented? I think yes. That's why Sikhs all over the world are always ready to help anyone at any cost. It has been seen during COVID-19 pandemic, help given by Sikhs, especially contribution of Sarbat Da Pala, Khalsa Aid, United Sikhs, and many individual Sikhs and organizations around the globe. And they have been helping during natural disasters like earthquake, floods. These are living practical examples of compassion. On page 286, Guru says, one who performs selfless service without thought of reward merges and attains the God. There are three types of voluntary service called seva, sanctioned in the Sikh way of life. One is by tan, with the body, the corporal instrument. Second is the man, the mind, through the mental faculties, like in the contribution of one's talents, like creative, communicative, managerial, etc., to the corporate welfare of the community and the mankind in general. It also lies in sharing the pain of others. That's why the Sikh prayer, said in unison, ends with the supplication for the welfare of all. Because Gurmat views God in all creatures. Seva of this kind is motivated not by the attitude of compassion alone, but primarily to discover practical avenues for serving the God. It also means that any type of service should be done with full sincerity. Third is the dhan, that is sharing. Seva through material means and philanthropy was particularly sought to be made non-personal. Personal philanthropy can be debasing for the receiver and ego-enhancing for the giver, but self-effacing community service is ennobling. It's not only in our acts of service like involvement in charities, helping the homeless and infirm, housing the earthquake victims that we perform seva, the voluntary service. Every single mundane activity can be an act of voluntary service, like giving seat to a needy in the bus, helping someone cross the road, helping the co-workers, so and so on. World is suffering with COVID-19 pandemic. It has shown how closely the entire humanity is connected. The global cooperation to control COVID-19 has shown that we can achieve world peace as well through compassion and interfaith dialogue. Interfaith dialogue should begin by focusing on things we have in common and on practical things we can do together. The power of religion can be used to unify divergent factions and divergent faith communities by establishing and maintaining constructive channels of communication and sustainable collaboration. Thus, interfaith dialogue can play a major role in the promotion of global peace. My humble request is that to have world peace, the first step should be to believe in one God who has different names, and we all are children of that one God. So we are brothers and kinsmen. The light of one God is present in all of us. To love God is to love God's creatures. That's each other. When we love each other, there will not be any hatred and jealousy. Differences between each other can be resolved through dialogue. Most of the time, our ego does not let us sit together for a dialogue. Guru says on page 466, ego is a chronic disease, but it is not incurable. To control ego, Guru says, humility is my spiked club to control ego. On page 1377, Guru says, Bhagat Kabir says, God is like sugar scattered in the sand. The elephant cannot pick it up, but an ant can pick it up easily. My Guru has given me this sublime understanding to become ant to feed all the scattered sugar. That's God in the sand, that is worldly temptations. In this Shabad, egoistic mind, man, is like an elephant and humble mind is like an ant. Humility is a formidable weapon. One has to be brave to be humble because others might think you are coward. Humility teaches equality, not manipulation. Humility does not mean one should not assert one's rights and let others walk all over you. For that, one might have to take weapons sometime. In case weapon has to be used, it should be as per philosophy of Saint Soldier, who were created by 10th Guru Gobind Singh. If a weapon is in the hands of a Saint Soldier, a weapon will be used for protecting the oppressed from the tyranny of the oppressor, not for senseless killing. War will be waged as a last resort. War will be waged without hatred and any desire of revenge. The purpose of war will be to deliver justice. Territory will not be annexed. Looting and booting forbidden, as the war has been waged to deliver justice and not to punish the perpetrators. Only a minimum force will be used. When the objectives have been achieved, the fighting should cease and attempts to establish peace should be made. Guru Gobind Singh fought wars with Aurangzeb's army on these principles. That's why Bhai Kanhaiya was feeding the water and resuscitating all the soldiers, including Muslim soldiers in the field. There is a need for world leaders and armed forces and every human being to follow this philosophy of Saint Soldier. Let's all be compassionate, humble, and control our ego for world peace so that there is never a need to take weapons. And I am pretty sure that if we use these principles and have interfaith understanding, interfaith dialogue, and respect each other and believe that God is present in all of us and one God is our Creator, and one God is our Father, and we are all brothers and sisters and kinsmen. We will not hate each other. We will have no jealousy for each other, and we will not have terrorist attacks, and we will not attack each other as we are seeing today throughout the world. With this, I'll finish my talk. ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ।